You might share Hume's worry about the amount of potential bullshit in an enterprise like philosophy, right? It's a natural reaction to think, who the heck thought of these things? Why would they be talking about nonsense like this? What do they even think they're doing? Why would we even possibly agree with something like this? And so Hume has these same worries, and so he wants to look at some areas of philosophy and figure out which ones come from actual impressions and which ones are just bullshit. So he's going to say, he's going to take a little tangent to talk about ideas. Remember, he's worried about perception and ideas. He's going to say there are three different ways that ideas can be related to one another. They can resemble one another, so one idea can be like another one, right? One shade of blue is similar to another. They can be contiguous because they occur in the same time and place. So apples might often share the same time and place as apple trees, for example. Or they can be in cause and effect relationships. One idea can cause you to have another idea. Hume wants to say that these are the only three ways ideas can be related, and it's going to end up that they're related even more closely than this sometimes, that there might not even be three different ways. So the only way to prove this, he thinks, is to examine a whole bunch of examples. Now he's going to say that resemblance and contiguity aren't all that interesting, but cause and effect, that might be an interesting one, and he's going to have a lot to say about that. He also wants to make another distinction. He's going to talk about two different kinds of observations. He thinks that one is what he'll call a relation of ideas, and these are necessary truths. These are the sorts of things that Descartes thought we couldn't doubt. Right? This is algebra, geometry, arithmetic, logic. These are the sorts of things that it would be contradictory if they were false. It's impossible that they're false. Right? 2 plus 2 just is 4, given the way math works. 2 points make a line. That's just the way things are. The contrary to these are matters of fact, and this is the observable stuff. These are things like the sky is blue or the sun will rise tomorrow, right? There's not a contradiction if the sun doesn't rise tomorrow. It's not sort of impossible logically. We're just pretty sure that it will. And so we know relations of ideas by doing pure logic or pure mathematics. We know matters of fact because of cause and effect. Hume gives an example. He says if you're stranded on a desert island and you see somebody's wristwatch there, that must mean that someone has been there before, right? Wristwatches don't just appear. It must mean that someone else was on that island and they lost their watch somehow. Hume now wants to raise some skeptical doubts about cause and effect. And remember, to check for philosophical bullshit, we need to find out where our ideas came from. What sense impressions give us the ideas that we have? And so Hume is worried about cause and effect. Where did that idea came from? So we know that if ideas, if impressions, if thoughts that we have came from relations of ideas, they're necessarily true, right? Because relations of ideas are themselves necessarily true. If the ideas came from matters of fact, instead they might not, right? We can be wrong about matters of fact. I could think that the sky is green, I'm just wrong, right? So that idea comes from a matter of fact, it ends up that the sky is actually blue. This could not be such a great foundation, right, if we want to think about Descartes again for the rest of our knowledge. And Hume's going to say that, look, cause and effect is not a relationship of ideas, right? It's not necessarily logically true. We only discover cause and effect even exist, that there's even such a thing as cause and effect, let alone examples of it, by experiencing of it. So how much can we actually trust cause and effect? Well, it's going to end up not all that much. Hume thinks everyone will agree with him about cause and effect that exists with things. Right, so everyone will agree in this case that cause and effect is not a logical, necessary truth when it comes to things. So if I want to look at a machine, right, I'm sitting at a computer right now, if I want to find out how my computer works, I can't just do that by sort of thinking about computerness or machinery, right? I need to actually observe it, right? I need to sort of study it and figure things out. He thinks that people, though, might disagree with him when it comes to events, right? So imagine one billiard ball, a pool ball, rolling down a table and it's going to hit another one. What's going to happen? Can we guess without ever seeing not only this example, but any example of sort of transfer of motion happen? Any example of two things hitting one another and the other one sort of rolling off away? Hume thinks we can't. You might disagree with him here, and this is something that could definitely be worth making a forum post about. But a lot of what Hume is going to say is going to rest on this idea that without ever experiencing motion transfer, for example, we can't guess that it's going to exist. And we can't because he's going to say effects aren't like their causes. To figure out effects by only knowing causes, one of two things would have to be true. The effects would have to be either in the cause, entirely within the cause, part of it, or they have to be just like their causes. But Hume thinks that neither of these is true. When I see one ball moving, for example, one billiard ball that's going to hit another, is it necessary that it's going to move the other ball? Well, no, right? We can imagine perfectly well that the one ball could just hit the other ball and stop dead. Or it could jump over it, it could go around it, it could explode, right? There's no logical contradiction for any of these. So only experience can tell us about cause and effect, and we know that experience is fallible. We'll see what this means in our next video.